Welcome to the Bird and Gold Knuckleheads podcast. And as always, sitting right over there is my main man, Reggie. What's going on, buddy?
Kenny J, what up, doe?
Oh, man, just enjoying this winning streak, right? We've got a 3-game winning streak going on. We got 6 out of 7. Times are good right now for Commanders fans.
It is, man. This is our second 3-game win streak of the season with a
Right?
loss kind of sandwiched in between. And man, it's been a while since we've been feeling good, riding high, playing meaningful games late in the season, man.
Right?
So this is a different feel for us, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I can't say that I hate it all. You know, I like a little things to be a little bit better. I won't be
Right,
greedy,
right,
but
right.
um, but at the end of the day, man, I'm feeling pretty good. The fact that we're playing some meaningful football late in the season,
Yeah,
so I
and
can't
and
complain about
and right, and especially based off of the first 5 weeks, even though we won the first game, we walked away going, "Okay, yeah, we got the win, but we're gonna get better," right?
that. Right?
And quickly, the next 4 games, there was no better in sight. It was downhill. I mean
It
I
was
mean,
ugly. It
it
was
was
ugly.
ugly as being kind in some of those games, and we give the coaching staff a lot of grief, but I got to give Ron as a leader. I'm not saying he doesn't make mistakes with a red flag and time management, some things, but as a leader of keeping the team together, uh, last year and this year, there's been times, and the team has stuck together. eh, Even more so, I think, when they go through it, and then when they see on the backside that things can get better and they support each other. um as a head coach, you can't be more proud of where this team is now compared to 7 weeks ago, uh in the midst of a 4-game horrible losing streak.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. Ron deserves a lot of credit. He's been able to keep the guys focused. He's done his best to keep things, as he put it, the things they can control, and keep the football issues within the locker room. Anything outside of that, he's tried his best to keep that away from the players as a distraction. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like he's done a great job at doing that, man. He's been able to be a good leader of men, and as he likes to say, he likes to separate things that are interesting. Um, okay, I drew a blank there. Important. There's a difference between what's important and what's interesting.
Right.
And so a lot of times when the media talks to him about things on the outside, he puts that in the interesting category, but it's not important. And so he's done a good job, man. And to that, same thing with Jack Del Rio, right? Everybody wanted old boy Jack out of here, man. He needs to be fired. The game is passing by. He
Yeah,
doesn't know what
yeah.
he's doing. All the criticism. And look, we were right there criticizing him, right? So Jack Del Rio, all of a sudden, you don't even hear Jack's name, right? You
No.
don't even no one even talks about Jack Del Rio. So kudos to him. And Scott Turner. Scott has his moments. But collectively, as a coaching staff, you got to tip your hat to them, man. They've done a hell of a job over the past 12 weeks, or I should say, the past 7 weeks since we were 1-4. So kudos to those guys, man.
Yeah, and not that we can't get better and clean up things on all sides of the ball, right? We're not ranked number 1, and we're not totally shutting people down on defense. They're playing some really good ball, but I think even the defense would say that there's room improvement on their end.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
To your point, I want to say that what's also been very interesting over the past few weeks is that there's not been any much more of the outside noise. We went through a phase there where every time we turned around, there was something about Dan Snyder, the investigation, the selling the team, and I understand that all of those things are still there, but it's interesting that we haven't had any more off the field issues come up to be one more distraction.
Right.
And so that's been a good thing as well. So as a fan and as the fan base, we get tired of it, right? We just want to root for the team. We just want the guys that show up and play every Sunday, and we want to win every game, and we don't want to have to be answering questions as fans or getting mocked, nationally, and everyone wants to talk about our owner and all the off the field issues as opposed to the team and what's happening on the field. So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
want to acknowledge the fact that we've not had that in quite some time as well, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah. And it's kind of a, to your point there, it's kind of a double whammy of good news, right? Snyder's leaving coincides, you know, maybe the stars are lining because Snyder is leaving, that all of a sudden we're winning more, right? So Snyder's going, man. Most fans were happy. They're like, oh yeah, let's change the, turn the page on the Snyder era,
Right.
and oh yeah, daggone, we're winning some games now too. And so, those two things go hand in hand. And the environment at FedEx Field, from what I've been hearing, now this is an away game this week coming up against the Giants, but from what I hear, it's a different level of enthusiasm and crowd cheering and everything else. So we keep winning. It's only going to get louder at
Yeah. Yeah.
FedEx. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see? Speaking of, did you see on ESPN
Yes.
Ryan Clark talking about the atmosphere at FedEx Field, and he said it was like a college atmosphere.
Right.
Now, of course, we weren't there. We watched it on TV. I didn't quite get that, but we weren't there.
Right.
But
Right.
for him to have been there during some bad years, and to have gone back and to be able to see it, feel it, and witness what it was like to be there this past Sunday against Atlanta, that says something. That says
And
something from
yeah.
for all intents and purposes an outsider, because Ryan Clark has kind of been very critical of the team once he became an analyst on
Right.
ESPN. But for him to give credit and to the fan base and the organization, to everything nationally about what that experience was like last week, was pretty felt pretty good.
Yeah, and that was in bad weather, rain. I mean, just I can imagine if the temperature would have been a sunny 60-degree, 58-degree
All right.
football day. Because there's probably people that didn't come. Like, I'm not going to go. It's raining. This is going to
It's
be
gonna rain
miserable.
all
I'm not
day.
gonna go, right?
Right.
I'm not saying half the stadium, but it might have been 5%, 10%. So that's 5 or 10% even louder and rowdier that it could be
Right.
in 2 weeks from now. Again, or I say actually it's 3 weeks from now, 2 games from now, when we play the Giants again at FedEx Field. But yeah, you mentioned Ryan Clark, yeah, because he was there at FedEx with the Sean Taylor
Memorial tribute, right?
memorial tribute. Yes, yes. And we talked about it before we started here, that we saw some more pictures and a little bit more details of the display. Right,
Yes.
it had his name and pictures and some other things down by the base of the display that were very much uh, specific to Sean
Sean.
Taylor, as
Yes.
opposed to just a uniform of, oh, that happens to be something with Sean Taylor.
Right, right. Because
So
we were very critical, right?
absolutely.
As with the most people who thought that the tribute and memorial was subpar. Um, and I asked on Twitter, I said, now that you've seen the full casing with all of the verbiage and some pictures and some things about Sean, do you feel a little bit different? And little bit mixed reviews. Me personally, I can say that I actually feel a little bit better about the the memorial after I saw it for a couple of reasons. The first reason was I found out that his family were very involved in what the team put out there. So at the end of the day, if they were satisfied and happy with what the organization was putting out there, then I'm cool with it.
Right.
I'm cool with
Right.
it. The other part of that is to see that there was more to it, to your point, than just a uniform with Sean's number and the old school Redskin logo and all those things. Um, that also made me feel a bit better because now you can walk up to it and you can go walk around the thing and you can read some stuff about Sean and probably his legacy as a former Redskins player. So
Right.
again, I thought there was more to it than that. Do I think that the organization still could have done something a little bit better? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
with the family being okay and satisfied with it, if they're happy, then I guess I'm happy about it as well, man. I'm satisfied with it.
Yeah. I'm pretty much right on board with you there. As disappointed as I was of a fan to the tribute display case that they had there, when I found out that that the Taylor family was happy with it, that brought my frustration and disappointment level down. I say down as far as my anger
Right.
from that perspective. It definitely cooled my jets.
Yes.
And yeah, so but at the same time, to your point, I think they could have done more. Did they have to have a bronze statue like he was going into the Hall of Fame type of thing? No, I'm not saying that they had to do that. They could have done that. But they didn't have to go that far. But just I don't know, when I look at the case and I'm not looking down below, I wish they would have done something so I can look at it and I see
Sean
Sean Taylor
Houston.
in the case, right? Not just
Agreed.
the plaque.
Agreed.
That would and honestly, from my perspective, they could have done that and not done hardly anything on the lower part, and I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
Everybody has their judgment and perception of what looks good or doesn't look good, but at the end of the day, as Knucklehead Reggie likes to say, at the end of the day, the Taylor family was happy with it, so I can accept that as well.
Agreed. 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 So, but that's it. That's it. In terms of the Sean Taylor deal, man. But now Sean would probably love this, man. We got our destiny is in our own hands, and we
Yep.
start out with the first of back-to-back games for us against the New York Football Giants, and three of our next five games against division opponents. But first up are the Giants. It's a road game for us. It's a little field trip up the road
Right.
from DC to New York, but nonetheless, a road game for us in enemy territory. And the Giants, man, the Giants are 7-4
Yeah.
and have done some good. They've been a huge surprise to the league, to the
Yeah.
NFL season with first year head coach um, uh, Brian Daboll out of Buffalo, which is he's out of Buffalo.
Right.
Out of the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
And man, shockingly, the Giants have been playing very well, man, and it was was in the running for the division, no less. Until they lost a few, and the Eagles have continued to stack some wins and
Right.
build their lead in the division.
Yeah. I mean, when they started out the season, they got a win, they got a second win, they got a third win, and you're like, okay, they're going to come down, and they didn't for a while, right? They had a nice streak going there, but they've lost the last 3 out of 4 games. They lost the last 3 out of 4, with their only win being against Houston.
Okay.
So, I mean, you take the wins as you can. Washington beat up on Houston as well, and we'll definitely take it in the win column. But it's not something you go bragging and go, "Well, we beat Houston."
Right.
It's not like it's and then they just lost last week to on Thanksgiving. They lost to Dallas, and they've got a tough streak ahead of them. They just played Dallas. They play Washington this week. They play Philly the week after that, and then they play Washington again. So their back half of the schedule is much harder. They still have to play Minnesota. I think they might play Dallas again. But I saw their schedule earlier, and they have a tough back half of the schedule overall.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and then their 3 losses, they have been they've allowed roughly 28 to 30 points or 28 to 31 points. So the defense has kind of slipped. They I think they relied on their defense a lot early on, and their defense has slipped the last 3 or 4 weeks. And this might be something that Washington can take advantage of. Washington's offense clearly has been sputtering along. They do enough, but they don't seem to be in a rhythm for an entire game at any point this year. And I'm not saying it's going to be against the Giants, but with the Giants defense not playing as well as it was the first half of the year, maybe this is something that Washington can take advantage of. And in the NFL, when somebody's down, you don't help them back up. You put your foot on them and just walk right on over them to get to the next game.
For sure, for sure. And with that backdrop with the Giants and the fact that they've kind of struggled here a little bit, um, we as a team down the stretch over the next 5 weeks have to do much better offensively. Our
Agreed.
defense has continued to be consistent. Our defense has given us chances and opportunities to win games, to stay in games, to hopefully give our offense an opportunity to win games. But we have to do a little bit more offensively to help out our defense. We should have to keep coming down to these nail biters. We can't keep coming down to these last minute type of deals, as I talked about a little bit on our post game for the Atlanta. Is go out and put up some points. Give the defense a chance to be able to play a little free, have a little cushion,
Right.
where we're not having to make the stop here. But if they don't make the stop, then we live to see another down. But it's like every defensive, every time they go out to play defense, it's a must stop, right?
Right.
Give an offense, let the offense get out there and give our defense a little bit of a breather, man. Let those guys play free. We were in Houston, and because we were sitting on the home side, playing with their lead, those guys looked like they were just having all kind of fun. And I'm not saying they don't have fun anyway, but you could tell like it was just they were just having a good time, man, because there
Right.
was
Right.
no pressure to go out and have to stop them every single down,
Right.
every single drive. And so let's hopefully get out. Hopefully our offense can help our defense out and score some more points here. But with this game against the Giants, Daniel Jones, right? Did you realize that Daniel Jones is the second leading rusher on their team? And
Not not a surprise when I've watched all the games against Washington because
I was
and
gonna
he
say
yeah
he's 4-1 against us. So Daniel Jones seems to always have Hall of Fame games against us. And you throw in because he's 4-1, and you throw in the fact that that he's a second rusher behind Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley right now is about 8 yards short of 1,000 yards through 11 games for him. And with that being the case, Daniel Jones is their second leading rusher with
right
almost 500 yards, 450 something to be exact. So once again, we have to stop a team that has a good running game and who has a running, I'm going to use air quotes here, Ken, but running quarterback,
right.
right? Because Daniel Jones, again, seems to
He,
always play his best when he plays us.
yeah, he's typically hurt us as more of a play breaking down and would take off and where seems like most quarterbacks can possibly run and pick up 5 or 7 yards. He tends to pick up, you know, 12 to 15 yards. Is like, is anybody going to catch up with this guy? And if they watch the game from last week where Mariota had 5, 6 design plays where it was a read option and he would
Mhm.
just hold the ball, see the gap as he was about to hand off and just pull it in and his runs were all easy, right? All of Mariota's runs for 5 to 12 yards were easy 5 or 12 yard pickups for him.
Right.
And I think Jones has got a little swifter feet, so we can't let him break our backs. Even though I know he's going to have at least some marginal success, he can't be, as I like to say, he can't be a difference maker. We can't allow him to be a difference maker.
Well, hopefully after this Sunday, his record against us will be 4-2.
Absolutely.
Because again, to your point, we can't allow Daniel Jones to be Daniel Jones versus Washington. this particular week.
Right.
I will say this too. When we played Atlanta, they were last in the league on rush defense, and yet we didn't run the ball overly great. We talked about that on the post game. I think we ran 37 carries, 170 something. It wasn't great collectively, but New York has a 23rd rushing defense, right? So not great, not great.
Right.
So hopefully we can run the ball. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
one of the things in Washington's run game that has been missing this year that I keep on waiting because there's been times where he just almost, but uh, Gibson nor B Rob have busted one. Right, they break away, get to the second level, and pick up, maybe 12, 17 yards is a big run, but nobody's busted one for 35, 40 yards and taking it for a touchdown. I'm not trying to predict that it will be this week, but those are the kind of plays that change games, right?
right.
And to your point that you mentioned earlier, it takes pressure off of the defense. While Washington has played some good ball, there haven't been any game breaking moments by the receivers or the running backs through this winning streak. You would think through this 6 out of 7 game winning streak that there'd be big plays. Oh man, this person hit him for a bomb and that person and Gibson broke one, and there hasn't been that. They've all been any points that we've had, and they haven't been enough. They've all been well earned points. They've all been basically off of drives. So I mean, in some sense, that's a good thing, but you got to have some what I
We're
call
not a big play. We
easy.
haven't been a big play offense, right? We've not
Right,
demonstrated to be a big play offense. And one of the thing is I was looking at the stats for New York. It's almost exactly how it was last week going into the Atlanta game, right? Atlanta was number 2 in rushing. New York is number 6.
right,
New York is the 6th ranked rushing offense in the league, and then Atlanta was bottom half of the league in passing, and the Giants are 29th in passing,
right,
right? So it's exactly the same thing, but yet it ended up being a very close game against Atlanta. And so, with that being the case, we're playing a very similar opponent, and they're statistically are very similar in terms of their run and pass ratio.
right,
So, will our game plan be different? We talked about it on the post game of the Atlanta game last week. Did the weather play a role in the way Scott Turner called the game? I don't think rain is in the forecast for the New York game, but maybe we'll see a different game plan. I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. Um, it's been talked about a little bit that ever since that Jahan Dotson has come back from his hamstring injury, we've not seen very much of him. Ron mentioned in his presser today that because we're running a lot more 2 and 3 tight end sets, it takes him off the field.
right,
I get it. I get it. I hate that it's happened like that. But when you're trying to help out the offensive line or help out our run game to control the time possession, to control and methodically move the ball up and down the field, because we clearly want to be a running offense, then you have to kind of beef up the line a little bit, because we all know we're lacking a little bit on the offensive line. And so
right,
there's a ways that when we call for it, right? Beef up the line, bring in your tight ends, help them block, bring them into tighter in the line, do some other things to help the offensive line out. And by doing that, it is kind of taken Jahan Dotson off the field, and he's getting less snaps.
right.
But hopefully, these things will come around, and maybe we'll see a little bit more of them, because I'd like to see the kid get some more production, man. Because he is a difference maker, as you like to say.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And talking about Daniel Jones and his scrambling, that's one thing that we haven't seen through this winning streak. Really, is Heineke running at all? Barely even scrambling. Now he's scrambled out of the pocket, but he hasn't even taken off downfield. Once or twice a game at the most. Compared to last year, he
Mm-hmm.
would run a little bit more, and they had some design plays, running plays for him here and there. And I'm not saying that I want them to run Heineke more, not like Mariota did or anything last week, but in spot places, again, this is the idea that I have of I want their team to cover everybody on the field, right? If we've got three receivers, two receivers, tight end, running backs, I want the defense to worry about everybody. And when
Right.
you get the ball around to everybody, and that makes everybody not key on I'm just going to double Terry, I'm just going to stop the run, I'm just going to do this. They're going to have strategies. Every defense has a strategy of trying to take something away. If everybody is productive, if they take something away, the other portion of your game can carry on. And again, I'm not advocating for Heineke to run more, as opposed to giving the defense something else to think about.
Which to your point, we should have a design run here and there, right? We don't want Taylor getting hurt.
Right.
We don't want him getting beat up, but I don't think it's a bad idea to give the defense just one more thing to think about, and maybe just throw in a wrinkle there with the design run from Taylor Heineke from time to time. And you
Right.
can do it. You can do it when there's a second and short, third and short, where he can kind of run, get the first, and get down or get out of bounds, whatever the case may be.
Right. Right. And
Um,
but all of his runs, let me just interject real quick. All of his runs, even from last year, I don't they were all tended to be designed runs as opposed to a read option. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, Taylor is quick enough and fast enough to, he's not Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray fast, but he's quick enough to make that read. He knows his speed on whether he gets around like that, and we just haven't done that at all. And again, I don't have a problem with our overall running game and running plan, but that's just a little a sprinkle of spice to throw in there to make to make the ends, to hold those ends, to hold those linebackers. uh I know you like it when I said sprinkle on some spice there. I saw you chuckle there. For those that didn't aren't watching this on YouTube, uh but go ahead.
I just a nice little play on words there for you. But interesting enough, man. We're going to see a couple familiar faces in New York this week, right? You know who I'm talking about,
Go
kid?
ahead. Go ahead. Let them know.
Do you know?
I don't know anything, man. I'm a knucklehead.
All right. Well, one is going to be Landon Collins. I know a lot of fans had wanted to re-sign Landon, and as the season went on, because we were yelling and screaming about needing another linebacker, and
Right.
as I said, it takes two to tango, man. Just because we wanted Landon doesn't mean Landon wanted us, right? But
And they brought
nonetheless,
him, they brought him on mid-year,
they
right?
brought Landon back to New York. If I'm being honest, I haven't heard much about Landon in New York. I'm not even sure if he's starting. I don't even know. I don't even know what he's doing. But he is on the team as far as I know. But also, do you remember the name Fabian Monroe?
Yeah.
Not Monroe, but
Yes.
Moreau. Well, Fabian is the starting corner,
I did not know that. You
and
got me on that one.
he didn't get a lot of playing time. He struggled to get on the field or stay on the field here. Um, but Fabian Moreau is the starting corner for the New York Football Giants, and so another friendly face. Probably a few players still left on the team that he would know,
Yeah.
but they also have some stout guys. They play a 3-4 defense, and so with Williams, I'm drawing a blank on his name. What's his name, Ken? Come on.
Williams.
Leonard
Yeah.
Williams.
It's
Leonard
Williams.
Williams. Leonard Williams is their big Pro Bowl D lineman, and then they have the rookie Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau is also the top. I think he was a top 5 pick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I
Giants
think he's,
picked pretty
yeah.
early,
Yep.
and so yeah, Thibodeau went pretty early in the draft for the Giants out of Oregon. I think he's out of Oregon,
Yes. Out of
and
Oregon. Correct.
so young stud defensive end, alongside Leonard Williams. So our guys are gonna have to be on it, man, because those boys are they
They're
something else,
stout.
man.
They're not speed rushers. Not that they can't get up the field, but they
But
are they
Thibodeau's
are stout.
fast.
Yeah,
But Leonard Williams, a big old dude, man.
he is.
So we'll see because we know that our right guard Trey Turner, his injury. I'm not sure if he'll play, and if he does play, I think he'll be hampered a little bit. So they're still rotating Cosme and Cornelius Lucas over on the right side, but those guys are a little banged up over there,
Right,
and that's what Leonard Williams like to hang out,
right.
right? So I'm sure he's feeling pretty good about that. And so from a defensive side, man, our offensive line is gonna still just show up because again, I feel like I'm talking about the Atlanta game for the second week in a row. They're
Yeah, yeah.
just in different color uniform.
Yeah, to your point of the rush that they potentially have, I wouldn't be surprised if early on we're doing stuff outside, throwing little screen passes out there, pitching the ball as opposed to just a handoff. Pitch it and get them running out to the sideline to sideline early on. And again, it's just putting that mental idea in their head that they can't just pin their ears back and come for the quarterback or come for the running back, right? I can't just blow that gap and grab the running back. If all of a sudden I bust through that gap, oh well, the guy's 7 yards outside of the tackle by the time I get through there. That though having success at doing those things is what keeps the defense from just going full tilt straight to the quarterback or straight to the between the tackles
Yep.
overall, whether it's for the running back or the quarterback.
Yep. So it should be a good game, man.
It should.
It should be an exciting game. I'm actually looking forward to this game because I think we know that despite everything that has happened over the past 12 weeks, right? Our season now comes down to the next 5 games.
Well, it's playoff football, right?
Absolutely.
We're in the playoffs right now, and I don't want to overly project, but from a schedule perspective, back-to-back games against the Giants, let's get this first one, and if you're able to get both games, you're sitting in good shape for the playoffs. You don't want to fizz out and lose the last 3 games because that's not a good way to go into the playoffs. But
Right.
from a strength perspective, from the people, not only is your record getting better, but the people that are either ahead of you by a half a game or behind you by a half a game, you're knocking them down. So it's helping you and hurting them at the same time.
Yep.
And and Washington's playing some of the best ball up to this point. They're playing some of the best ball that they have all season. So yeah, I think the Giants 5 or 6 weeks ago wouldn't have been concerned about this. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't have been, but I guarantee you Washington has their attention right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Without
Absolutely. And I think we have the attention of a lot of people because I'm getting just random people talk to me about, man, you guys look good. You guys are this and that. And man, Washington's playing great ball. So you can clearly know that we're starting to get noticed. And but yeah, these next 5 weeks, this is where our season is gonna be we're gonna make or break it right here with this next few weeks. And we'll know for sure starting with this week, game 1 of 5.
Yeah, this will be a really good test for Washington.
Yep.
It'll be. And with that, I think it's about that time, Reggie.
Is it? Is that time, Ken?
It is that time.
What time is it? What time is it?
What's your name? What's your number? A fan favorite?
Is it a fan favorite?
Pretty soon, people are going to stop you on the streets, and they're going to say, "Hey, Knucklehead Reggie, I know your name. What's your number?"
Oh God, man. Okay. All right, man. What's
So
my
with that
name?
being
What's
said,
my number?
Reggie, what's your name? What's your number, brother?
All right, man. I'm not gonna stall this. I'm not
I'm
gonna
going to say right now. Let me interrupt you real quick. I
I'm
like
not
to do
gonna
this.
tease it.
I always interrupt you. I'll interrupt you throughout the time, but I always interrupt you when you're about to give your number. I got a feeling I'm just gonna make a prediction right now, and I do have my number written down. I got a prediction. You and I are gonna be the exact same number this week. But go ahead.
You
I
think
don't want
so, huh?
I don't want you to change it because I said that, but I got a feeling you and I are going to be the exact same number this week. But go ahead, my man.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna tease it, but I'm gonna say my number is based off of one thing, Ken. I said last pregame for the Atlanta. I said if we can go out and win another game, then I'm just gonna have to just chalk it up to I don't know the reasons behind it, but I'm just gonna believe.
Right.
I know this is a good test for us against New York. It's a division game. Um, we're 4-1. Daniel Jones is 4-1 against us. They have all Pro Bowl running back Saquon Barkley, exciting young coach. So all of these things makes me concerned.
Sure.
But I said, we win this game, Ken. I'm just going to have to believe. So with that being the case,
Uh oh.
I, on blind faith,
Oh,
I'm
ooh,
just
this gonna be a high number. Is this gonna be a
no,
high number, Rick?
no, don't do that. Don't do
All right,
that.
I'm
I,
sitting on the
I'm,
edge of my
I'm,
seat.
well, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a 7.
7. All right, Reggie gives it a 7. Well, I was wrong with my prediction. Let me just go with that we're going to have the same number. I've got
Okay,
just a little bit more concern. They are a team that again it has played well, and I think Washington will walk away with the win on this. But I do have concerns because they do have people that have hurt us before. I don't want to say that Saquon doesn't worry me. Because he definitely has some big play capability. But man, Andrew Jones just seems to play his
Daniel
game of the
Jones.
year.
Who's Andrew?
What I say? Oh, Andrew Jones. Oh, a
You
baseball
said some
player.
guy named Andrew. I don't know. I don't know.
Andrew
You switch
Jones. I,
you switch
I,
sports
I,
on
I
me.
apologize. You know what? I'd like to apologize to Andrew Jones for that mistake. I'm not apologizing to Daniel Jones. But
You
Daniel
switch sports
Jones,
on me, man.
yeah, Daniel Jones seems to have in the past has had his game of the year every time I got 2 games of the year when he plays Washington. That will end. That streak of him just busting out will end this week. But with that said, my number is a 6.5, just short of your 7. And but we're going to walk away with the win. We're going to walk away with the win at
So
the
we
end
have
of the
some of the same concerns, but your number's just a little lower.
just a little lower, just a little
Think
lower. Hey,
things are getting back right. Well, my number's
yeah,
always higher
and
than
I
yours.
could,
We're getting
yeah,
back right. Okay,
I could
I
probably
got you.
be talked into being a little bit higher.
No, no, no.
It,
That's how you feel.
and
That's
I'll
how
be
you
honest
feel.
with you, if I knew coming out, one thing in this game that I think would push my number higher is if I had confidence that um, Turner called a little bit more aggressive game, right? I don't want us to be trying to fling the ball around every which way, trying to be a high flying team. I don't want that. But if he was just a little more aggressive, and I thought that he was going to be a little more aggressive, I would have a higher number. Um, I think as our running game is improving and we're having a lot of success with it, there's almost too much confidence in it. Not that you shouldn't have confidence in it, but almost too much that's what you're going to rely on and you're not going to open it up. But Scott, I know you listen to us. You've taken some of our advice before. Open it up just a little bit more. Open it up, 10%, 8%, 12% more, and we'll put up a little more points, put up the 24 to 27 points, and we'll
Let me
definitely walk
say
away
this,
with
Ken.
that.
Let me say this. Not
Go
to
ahead,
get
tell
on
me.
not to get on the debate,
Right.
but is it Scott Turner needs to call a different game, or is your boy need to decide where he's going to go? And we saw a couple plays where he went to one guy, but he should have went to the other guy. He went to the first read instead of the second read. Guys were wide open, right? I remember.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so that has nothing to do with the play that Scott called. It was just Taylor decided to go to this guy when he should have went to this guy because that guy over there was wide open, but he went to that guy who's covered.
Yeah, and I'm
So,
not. I
so
I believe that does happen. But last year, after a lot of games, we would see different people, lay out plays where he was missing people wide open. He should have gone here when he had somebody else wide open over there. And we're not seeing that really this year. Now we see it on TV where he'll make a play and like, oh man, that guy was normally when we see somebody that's open that he didn't go to, it's a close. It's somebody 5 or 7 that's running across and he went downfield 10 or 15 yards or longer. But I don't know that
sometimes
he
you got to take the layup, though, Ken.
I don't
Sometimes you got to
disagree.
take the layup.
I don't disagree at all. I mean, especially when the last example that I remember is when he threw into triple coverage and somebody was open at 8 yards and they could have caught it and ran for another 10 yards at least. These things happen, but yeah, I like I said, I mean, look at
anyway, I wasn't trying to get into. I was
I'm
just
not trying to get into it, but I mean, look at last week, whether it was Taylor or whether it was Turner, we didn't even attempt a ball more than 12 or 15 yards down the field. I understand it was raining, it was nasty weather, but we didn't even attempt to get the ball down there. Again, I'm not blaming Turner. I'm not blaming Heineke. Between the two of them, we need to open the offense up.
Okay, fair enough. So hopefully weather won't be a factor, and we can see if Scott calls a different game. We'll see if Taylor plays a little bit different. Maybe we don't look quite as conservative. I certainly hope that we don't look so predictable because everybody knows we want to run the ball, right?
Right.
So hopefully we see a little bit of trickery or something and just turn this thing around, man. But that's what we got. If you listen to us, please subscribe to us so you'll get these notifications when these things drop. Follow us on Twitter. We're very active on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at the 2 Knuckleheads. That's DA, the number 2 Knuckleheads, and we'll get on there and talk a little trash, get some opinions, get our thoughts, and all those kinds of things. And so just follow us, man, and have a good time with us. And but let's go get this W, man. Let's turn this thing from 7-5 to 8-5. 8-5. When you're 8-5, Ken, that's when you talk like playoff teams. Playoffs.
We're not used to that.
Playoffs. We talk about playoffs. Yes, that's for your playoff team, Ken.
We get a couple more wins, especially a couple more wins in a row against the Giants. And it's tough to beat any team back to back like this, but if you're able to get, you can't get the second one until you get the first one, right?
That's right.
But if you're able to pull both of them, man,
you're gonna be tell me nothing.
And the ticket price, the scalp ticket prices at FedEx Field, you're not going to be able to get them for below market value anymore.
That's right. That's right.
You're going to be paying a premium.
But I can tell you, if we win this game Sunday in New York, and then in 2 more weeks after our bye week, I cannot imagine what FedEx Field would be like when the Giants come to town. So, but let's start with the first one. That's our feelings on it, guys. If you follow us, whatever, comment. If you're on Twitter, you listen to us. Tell us what your number is. Tell us what you think, what your confidence number, and we'll certainly be back to give us our reaction to the post-game reaction to the Giants, and hopefully it will be a win, and we will be walking into our bye week with an 8-5 record. And so until then,
let me just tell you right now, Rich. I know you're about to end it here, and we're going to end it here, man. If Washington come away with a strong win here on Monday, maybe even Sunday night, I'm going to be looking at airfare and ticket prices to DC for the next game. That's 2 weeks away. Might be able, if I can get a respectable ticket on price on a ticket. Yeah, I might have to go a little extra.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You don't believe
me?
But however, let's get this win first and let's see how you feel.
Hey, it all comes down to a little bit of money, you know. But anyway, knuckleheads, we appreciate you listening and interacting with us. As my main man Reggie said, let's walk away with this W this week, and things will be good. Until then, peace out, knuckleheads.
Peace out.